What happens when you die or when you leave this plane of consciousness is that you go on to another plane of consciousness, and there's people, loved ones waiting for you. There's like a time of healing. When I say healing, of adjustment, like the people that's left here have a time to adjust. They have a time to adjust to their new state of consciousness. So they lose all the sickness and stuff like that, and then they see like a flash of their lives, how they've lived their lives. So they're not judged. The only one that judges them is themselves. So they sort of see where they've come from, where they are, and providing where they've come from. For instance, like say Hitler or somebody like that, they're teachers because they come into this world to teach us different lessons, you know, and we may think it's negative, but it is in a way. But they, when they're really bad and evil, they are on the lower states of consciousness. So when you review your life, you will go to the part where you deserve to be. So it's like, for instance, it's like having a job. If you start from the bottom and the more you work hard, the higher you go and the more benefits you have. So what the spirit world, when you pass over, the more you get it right on the earth plane and do the best you can in all your circumstances that you have to work in, the higher you will go when you pass over. When people come to me that's lost children, I can hear the laughter and the excitement, and I can feel the energy coming all around them because the children are so happy to sort of reconnect with the loved ones and let them know that they're doing okay where they are. And I always feel that. There's not many times I don't. I say there's a young energy all swirling all around you, and they're really happy. And then I'll see a young boy with the cap back to front and the trousers down there and stuff, you know, and I can see that like image in my head. And then I explain it. So life after death, that's how they show me. I'm not too sure of accidents. I know that, you know, I know that the soul, and I really know this, that the soul chooses its journey before it comes here. And I know we have a certain amount of time in order to learn lessons. Everything that people say is the bad and is the good, I say no, there's just energy. You choose to either live this way or that way. But the time that you've got allocated to learn those lessons is from another source. It's not up to us. It's like the soul's journey. The soul has chosen that. And it chooses your, you know, what you're going to go through. It chooses your lessons. And, you know, people say, I've got this son, he's on drugs, he's on stuff, he's on this. Yeah, I've got no life. Yeah, but, you know, their soul has chosen that. Guilt is a man-made concept. I try to tell people that. Guilt is not in the universal laws. It really isn't. And there's universal laws that we live by. So guilt is something that we put on ourselves. And when people say, well, if only, if I'd have done that, if I'd have done this, if I'd have done that, if only I would have been there, if only I was there, if only I'd have picked them up from school, it's if only, if only, if only. And I say, well, that wasn't meant to be anyway. There's nothing you could have done about that. It's just tormenting themselves. It's tormenting themselves, thinking that they could have brought that child or that person or that loved one back. No, they couldn't. This is karma. A lot of stuff is karma. A lot of it, most of it as well, is something that's out of anyone's control. We all need to be in control of everything and everybody. And we think if we could have done this or we could have done that, we could have avoided it. No, there's a lot of stuff that we can't avoid, that we just have to go through. And there's states of consciousness that we have no control over. What happens is, when a loved one passes over, a lot of times, if they're sick, and people, you know, people that's got blinkers on, that can't see any further than that, they say, oh, well, it's the drugs that they were on, because they start feeling the loved ones around them and seeing them, and they start talking to them sometimes because they know that the loved ones over in heaven that's already there, they're there ready to help them to make that transition. So they get help over the other side. And and some of the loved ones that's there in the room can sense it as well. And sometimes it's fantastic to be in a room like that. I mean, I used to work in the hospice, years ago. I didn't work there. I used to go and do some, little bit of massage and a little bit of comfort to people who didn't have anyone that used to visit them. This is years ago. And so I could feel that going on there. But when people hang on to them here that don't know any better, that don't believe in the spirit world, that don't believe in any of this, that they believe that once you go, that is absolutely incorrect. Yeah, and they're the ones that suffer. And they're the ones that pull people down because they just dismiss it. And they start grieving then. I've lost them, they've gone, there's nothing else. How can anyone really believe that there's nothing else after this? I've just written a book called No Squares in the Universe, and it says them people that don't believe are like in a square, and there's no squares. They don't see it any other way, just a square. The universe keeps moving. Everything's in constant change. Everything's moving. Everything goes round. There's people come here that's hysterical. That's hysterical because they've lost, their pet. I mean, the pets are like children to them. And there's a real connection. Pets have their own personalities. And, and people love them. So when they pass over, it's like the death of a child. It's awful. This lady rang me the other day and urgent, she's in bits because her little kitten has had to have surgery, and she's so worried in case, because she's got such a connection with it, in case it passes over. And all she needed was a reassurance, and I know the kitten's going to survive. I really know that. But she didn't, because that's her. She's emotionally attached to that little thing. And when people lose their animals and they come through, and I say, you had to put your dog down, and sometimes they get a name like Barney or whatever, and they go, oh yeah, and I say, sometimes you have to put that, and they're so guilty of having to end the pet's life. And I say, but your dog's not like that now. He's gone back to the little puppy when you first got him. And they go, yeah, we did get him when he was a little puppy. And where you used to pee on the couch, wee on the floor and do all that. And and I say, you've got your dog's ball there, and you've still got this. And they still keep all the memories of the animals, just like people do with the loved ones here. So it's so important, the spirit world.